Tell us why you think voters need to cast a ballot in this election. What are you going to do to promote this?
Well, I think you hear it all the time. It's not only a democratic privilege, but it's almost a civic duty, I think, to be involved in the politics of the region. We've seen time and time again, first of all, that the federal elections tend to get the biggest turnout, provincial next, and municipal the smallest turnout of eligible voters. And from my perspective, this is the government that is closest to the people, it's closest to your everyday lives, and probably the one that affects you the most. So I think it's integral for everybody to be involved, not only just to get out and vote, but to get involved with finding out who your candidates are, what they stand for, and whether or not they represent you well. My campaign is focused on helping to get out the vote, and our message out there is, regardless of who you're voting for, whether you're voting for myself or one of the other candidates, is just get out and exercise that democratic privilege. Get out and get involved.
The region's budget last year was $700 million. What experience do you have in the development and stewardship of a strategic fiscal plan?
Well, I was involved from a governance perspective with the region's fiscal plan. Of course, we were talking somewhere in the neighborhood of $500 million for an operating budget and about $265 million for our capital budget. And they were done at different times this year for, I guess, clarification of what was required for the capital budget. My involvement is to go through it in depth and almost line by line. We reviewed the business plans of each of the departments and to make sure that it is viable, that we are making effective use of taxpayers' funds. My focus, of course, is to get on to the core services of the municipality. So from a stewardship role, we have to understand the relationship between the operating budgets and the tax rate bylaw as well. What we're passing essentially in the operating budget is what we're doing for our staffing. There are a significant amount of funds that are transferred over to the capital budget, probably one of the largest portions in there, debt service, and as well, we can take a look at our revenue side. We do have revenues that come in not only from taxation, but from the services that we provide to the community. So it's about properly managing that operating budget is the, I think, probably one of the more important roles in there. And once we get into, it's just sound fiscal policy, really, at the end of the day. We need to raise the taxes and the revenue to pay for that operating budget. We need to make effective use of the spending of those funds. If we're not making effective use, then really it's a waste of time. We've got to make sure that the budgets that we're putting together as well are attainable and achievable. We've seen some significant growth in this community. When you have this type of growth in infrastructure and services being provided to the community, that requires a huge increase in staffing. We saw municipal staffing go from approximately 600 people to over 1,100 people. There's no different than any other large corporation. This corporation is seeing some struggles with its growth, and as we move forward, we're going to see some increased stability, and that really all plays a role in how effective the budget is going to be.
What do you think makes an effective councillor?
You know, any council or any governance body needs to have a diverse group of individuals and that come from all walks of life. I think in order to make it effective, it needs to have all those different perspectives there. Everybody gets into running or wants to be involved as a councillor. Everyone who's putting their name in on the ballot really does care, I believe, and they're all getting into it for the right reasons. Many have some fairly ideological views as to what they think they can achieve or attain, but really what's most important is to continue to be involved every day. This is not a job where you can just show up once a week on a Tuesday evening and participate for a couple of hours in a meeting. This is where we have an awful lot of research to do. There's an awful lot of reading, understanding what you're doing, understanding the content in front of you, and then being able to discern the information and make decisions based on the information that's presented to you. There is a lot of research to do. There is a lot of time involved in the background, being involved in community events, getting involved in community boards and committees, and really just getting out and listening to what the people are saying. There's no one thing that can make you effective. It's a matter of working hard at it every day and ensuring that your participation is there, that you're listening, and that you act on what you're hearing. What makes me an effective counselor, I think part of it perhaps might be some of my business background, some of the how I've lived my everyday life. I'm very slow to make a decision sometimes because I like to weigh all the facts, weigh all the information in front of me, and then make a decision based on the common sense of the matter. So hopefully there are people who think that the same way as I do. We can work together as a strong team, and I really have a lot of faith in this council that's going to come up forward. I think we have some very strong candidates that can think with common sense, that can make decisions based on the information. It's so important that we don't make decisions on the fly, but rather we're looking at long-term growth in the community. We have an awful lot to come forward yet, and in order for us to meet the vision of where we're going to be 20 years from now, that will depend on the decisions that we make today.
Describe how becoming a councillor has and or will fit into and alter your current life schedule.
Well, I know we're in election mode right now, but essentially I'm still an active councillor. I'm spending more time doing council duties today than I am campaigning by far. So the council life has already fit into my schedule. It's a part of my everyday life. I'm perhaps one of the lucky ones that the companies that I own, I have some very good people working for me, so I have the ability to alter my schedule and participate where I need to be when I need to be there. So as far as becoming a councillor in this next term, how will it alter my schedule? It won't have any change in my schedule at all, because I'm already there doing that and giving it my all and trying my best to be there whenever I'm needed to be there.
Is talking about social responsibility and economic sustainability and how you see it impacting this community.
Well, let's make sure I've got the same impression of that question as you are and understand it the same way. Economic sustainability, social sustainability, I don't see those two being independent of each other. I don't see them as being independent from other factors. From my perspective, all the sustainability issues are growth in infrastructure, economic development, the social fabric of the community. They're all interrelated, and it's how we bring them all together, developing the community in a holistic manner so that we're not forgetting any one of these components or units when we're considering how we're going forward. I've seen development in the past where focus has just been on one particular item, housing, for example, and affordable housing. And during that development, we seem to have forgotten about some of our capital infrastructure, some of our needed commercial space. We can do a better job at that, and I think that's really where it goes. I like the Chamber's slogan of quality of life through economic sustainability. I mean, it's economic diversity, economic growth. Those are all part of my platform. Is how do we improve that? That really is a part of quality of life. The goods and services that people are looking for in the community, that's what will help to attract, retain people, bring families in. We need the families to move here, not temporary workers only. We need but once you've got that, the social fabric of the community is certainly impacted. We need to ensure that we have all the supports and quality of life issues looked after as well. I'm not sure that I understand the question the same way that it's written, but social responsibility, environmental responsibility, they all go hand in hand. And it's a matter of ensuring that as we grow, that we're not only maintaining our existing infrastructure with that, but that we are looking at ways of improving and increasing those sectors of the community.
Our next question: what needs do you think the outlying communities have, and how do they fit into the priorities of the regional municipality of Wood Buffalo?
This was something that was, I guess, an unknown for many of us new councillors during the last term for some time, until very recently we were able to pass a service standards for the rural areas. The Ward 2, 3, and 4 councillors have been very active at bringing forward issues that the communities face in the rural areas. I think there's probably one of the most significant issues we need to do is start the upgrades with water and sewer. There are issues with bringing the road standards up, and those standards are based on the populations, the projected growths of those areas, and I think that's probably the most significant. Some people have no access to water and regular sewer services as the rest of the citizens of Wood Buffalo do. So our focus is there. It's in the capital plan now, and I think it's important for when those of us in Ward 1, which is in the urban service area, or the Fort McMurray councillors, when we swear our oath, we're not swearing an oath just to represent Fort McMurray. We're there to represent the entire region of Wood Buffalo, and so it's very important that we recognize and participate in all of the rural areas, that we get out and get involved in their community engagements, that we find out what their needs are and listen to them, and then support the rural councillors that are there. It's also the rural councillors' role to support what happens in Fort McMurray. All too often, Fort McMurray gets the vast majority of the support out of the capital and operating budgets, but we've seen a significant shift in that in the last 3 years. Proud to say we were able to open a new recreation facility that was a long time coming in Fort Chipewyan. We had some new structures installed in Anzac and Jambier and Conklin. Those were all brought forward as an initiative from the councillors and were unanimously supported by the rest of council. And their recreational opportunities, those all lead to the quality of life of everybody in the region, and we all need to be committed to ensuring that everyone who lives in the region enjoys not necessarily the same level of services, but equitable services, so that we're improving everybody's quality of life.
The next question: in what ways are you attached to this community and region? How will this serve you in your role as councillor?
How am I attached to this community? I guess first and foremost, as just a community member, I've lived here for 18 years. I have, but then secondly, as a business person, I have a small retail business downtown, some property management. I'm involved in the business community on a very regular basis. But I've also believed that in order to have a healthy business, I need to be living in a healthy community. So I've been very active in supporting many of the nonprofit organizations in town. I get out and work their events. I'm volunteering my time and my companies as well to get out and support their events, their functions. Long list. Of course, we've got many fundraisers that are always occurring. You'll see me there with sound systems and working as a volunteer and working to help promote whatever is, whether it's an interest of mine or not, it's an interest of others that live here. And it's important that we support those community organizations that are out there promoting them and that are working to bring these events. And it's everything from social services to recreational services to our medical services, our educational services, the schools, the hospitals, the college. I guess most recently I was the head waiter for the Harvest to Hope as a fundraiser for the Canadian Cancer Society. I guess how we'll serve in my role as a counselor. I'm not necessarily there as a counselor. I'm not out there doing any of these to garner votes. I'm there because they're important for the community, and I get a lot out of it. I get a lot more personally out of being there and participating, and feel like I'm being part of the cause. So I don't see it serving me as a role as a counselor. I'm not doing any of those to get votes. I'm there because I get back 10 times more than I give when I'm out working with the community.
There may be times as a council member when you do not personally support a decision made by council. Tell us about a specific experience when you did not agree with a decision, but you worked with the team to implement it.
Well, that's actually an easy one. Most recent, I think, that really sticks in my mind, and probably the most significant, was the recent passing of the single-use shopping bag bylaw. This had been an issue that's had surfaced some time ago in the previous council, came up again this council. I did an awful lot of research. I opposed the bylaw from its inception, from the time it first came up as a notice of motion. I've traveled. I went to different recycling conferences, met with experts in the field, and got opinions from all over. And I guess I continued to fight this throughout or to argue against it. At the end of the day, the vast amount of support that was coming forward from the community showed that there was an awful lot of support to make it happen. And so at the very end, it garnered my support because I couldn't ignore the fact that the people who had elected me, I needed to represent their views as well. However, I ensured that there were, on the record, I made sure my points were there, that I had grave concerns over how it would be implemented and the impacts it would have. I managed to have a motion passed that the bylaw would be reviewed within 12 months after its implementation. And as soon as we left council chambers, I've done a number of interviews since with national newspapers, television, etc., where they're asking about the bag ban, and my commitment is that when the board made that, or council made that decision, it's important that we're all singing the same song when we walk out of council chambers. So I have, my business has proper bags now. We have reusable bags. We're promoting its use wherever we can. I'm giving explanations. There's still a bit of confusion over the bylaw itself, and so I've been involved in helping to communicate that a little bit better. And at the end of the day, time will tell. So really, I've always believed in any board or any governance situation. It's fine to express your opinion and to express your satisfaction or dissatisfaction, but at the end of the day, it's a democratic process. The majority rules, and you've all got to be on the same page when you after the vote has happened.
Tell us about a time when you acted as an ambassador for the positive image of this community.
Well, as an ambassador for the positive image of the community, I've traveled all over the country representing Wood Buffalo. Mayor Blake and myself were called to Ottawa to represent Wood Buffalo as witnesses to the Standing Committee on Natural Resources, where I actually at that point was representing the Chamber of Commerce. Since then, I don't know, I've been to many other conferences, the ABCD, which is another environmental conference down in Edmonton, the Alberta AUMA, which is the Alberta Urban Municipalities Association, AAMD&C, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. I attend all of these conventions, events. Certainly this is all external from what we do within the community. News media, we're hit with various news medias from all over the province, the country, North America, and in fact the world. Have done many interviews to really, we find most media come into town with their articles already written, and it's a matter of hopefully changing their minds. We've spent a great amount of time with medias like Al Jazeera or the New York Times, Los Angeles Times, and talking about the good things at Fort McMurray. Certainly there's been challenges here. The message has been consistent from all of those community leaders that I know, is that there isn't a more dynamic and exciting place to live. Unfortunately, many of these stories are pre-written before they get here and still get published that way. But if we continue to carry on that message, we'll get it through, we will get it straight. I find that probably the most effective way is to get the people here to visit. And I've had tours of Syncrude, Suncor, with various people from other communities. I had some councillors from the city of Edmonton up here, and we toured the Syncrude site. They all leave with a different opinion of the community. They all leave with a different opinion of oil sands development. And it's a matter of getting out and promoting the good things we do, as opposed to focusing on the fear and the negativity that some of the environmentalists have caused.
Based on your observations of past council, what will you do differently to improve this council's effectiveness?
Effectiveness of any council, any governance body is based on the makeup of the members and a willingness of all to participate. I've always seen my role as to get everybody together to work as a team. We don't always have to agree, we don't always have to, but we do have to work together. And we do have to do it with respect and with a high level of professionalism. We are supposed to be community leaders. What would I do differently? That's going to depend on the makeup of the council. There again, I truly believe that we have a great opportunity to have a strong, effective council based on some of the names that have been put forward. We have some very strong, effective people that have come forward to run in this election. I don't know that I would do anything differently. The way I work is to work with people, to work together towards solutions, to get better understanding through asking the right questions. And I don't believe I would do anything differently than what I did this term. I think it's a matter of hopefully having 11 members on the body of council that are all prepared to do the same thing, is to share, do your reading, do your homework, communicate with each other effectively, and certainly there's going to be lobbying amongst each other for issues that are important to each individual person or each individual ward. If a councillor from the Conklin-Janvier area has an issue that's important to him, it's important to him and to me that I listen. It's important to that part of the community that I listen. And together, everyone can make a difference. So, no, I think it's just a matter of serving together in a respectful and communicative manner, and ensuring that what we're doing is less in the political realm and more for the good of the community. So council will be effective if they're considering the community first. And at the end of the day, we don't all have to think or argue things the same way, but we do have to do it in a manner that makes sense and that it has respect for each other and the citizens of the region. That's why we're there, after all.